All I could do is dream of you the whole night through. With the dawn, I
It's 2, 4, 6, 8. It's 2, 6, 4, and 8. It's 2, 4, 6, 8. Come on, keep going,
There you go. One steamy hot mug of cocoa.
Thanks. Thank you.
What's got you so down in the dumps? It's Christmas.
I feel
Fat. With that old fat ball feeling.
No. It's Christmas. It's the time of year. Christmas makes me feel like, makes me think of death, you know? Like, what kind of legacy will I have? How will I be remembered?
Gwyn's knows the solution to that. Come with me as we pay a visit to the internet. Paul, let me tell you about a little site called Wikipedia. Wow, I've never seen anybody get deleted that fast. That was weird. Hey, I know what'll cheer you up. Presents! It's Christmas!
Oh my god, of course! Yeah, alright, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Alright. What did you get me? Hey! Oh my god, it's Quarriors is a game of summoning monsters, of casting spells. Let's start again. Quarriors is as fetishistic as board gaming gets. It is a dice game, and it comes with some custom dice, and some custom dice, and yeah, some more custom dice. Over 130 cute little cubes in total. Oh my goodness, that is literally more dice than I've had hot dinners.
Sometimes we forget that board games are physical, three-dimensional objects. They're made up of bits and stuff and things that you handle. For many players, this is as much a part of the experience as the rules or the competition. Just think how much more appealing a game of poker is with a luxurious green felt table and weighted poker chips. Well, Quarriors maybe isn't quite there yet, but I can't deny that when you're sat next to more than 100 lovely, beautiful custom dice, there's a kind of a magnetic pull to them.
You gave it to me, it's mine.
A game of Quarriors goes like this. A random assortment of its gem-like dice are laid out and up for grabs in this sort of central market. On their turn, players draw 6 dice from their velveteen pouch and roll them. Eventually, the faces you roll might represent monsters or spells, but since everyone starts the game with a bag of crap, to begin with, you'll mostly just be rolling a lot of quiddity, the supernatural currency of the game.
Quiddity's great, because the last thing you get to do on your turn is spend any quiddity you've rolled to pick up more spells or monsters or other dice that you'll pop into the mouth of your bag. In the early game of Quarriors, the focus is quiddity, in building an economy that'll let you grab dice off the table. In the late game, what you really want are a ton of monsters. You want your bag to be a fearsome monster-spewing abyss, because it's only in keeping monsters alive that you'll win glory points that'll ultimately win you the game.
It's almost like being back at school, you know, collecting marbles in the playground.
If you went to school in the 1930s. Oh, Paul, where did you get those splendid marbles? I'll give you 2p for them.
What's thrilling about this game is the fact that every time you squirrel away another dice in your bag, another wonderful little gem, you never know when that's going to turn up again, and even when you do, you never know what face you're going to roll on that dice. And you'll notice we're talking quite a bit more about the components than the rules. Well, it is a dice game, and there is the element of luck, maybe more luck than skill, but it's okay because you're choosing the dice that you want to buy. And if you want an aggressive bag of dice or a defensive bag of dice, if you want want to buy the big monsters or the reroll spells, that's up to you. You still have that tangible sense of control and your own destiny.
I've seen Quarriors receive kind of a kicking online for that idea that it's more down to luck than skill, but that's crazy. Humans like to gamble. We like to test our luck. It's true that back in episode 5.5, Paul and I gave a bit of a kicking to Arkham Horror because after a point, you know, the game just... teamwork isn't important as random chance. But that's different because that game is 6 hours long with a manual, like the instruction booklet for a washing machine. The discovery after that much time and energy that the game doesn't really care about what you're doing. That's crazy. Yes, Quarriors hinges on its luck at least as much as a door hinges on its hinges. But you know, it's a 20-minute game, and if you're okay with that, it'll let you roll dice, let you collect more dice, and let you knock your opponent's dice back into their bags, and after it's over, one of you will be a big fat winner, and the rest of you, well, you'll all curse your luck, and then you'll collapse the game back into its tin for another day. Or you'll just play it again, immediately. Because, yeah, it's different every time, because the cards that come with the game mean the dice always do different things, and there's always more dice than there are slots in the market. Basically, Quarriors straddles the territory between a game and a toy.
No, I knew you were going to say that. You think that because it comes in its own wee toy box.
The tin is actually designed after one of the dice from the game.
You're regressing
Genius.
back to childhood, alright? This is a proper intelligent game. It's a fully fledged system. It's clever. It looks lovely. It's a proper piece of design.
No, I'm trying to imagine it with like really basic D6s, you know, and like none of the art, and I just would have buried it in my garden within an hour of you giving it to me. It's not something I'd want in my life. Anyway, it doesn't matter that it's a toy because it succeeds as a toy game 50-50 thing.
Okay, well, I mean, Twins is completely wrong, but we both agree that it's a lovely game visually and a pleasure to play, and you should really, really buy it. And WizKids already created the first expansion for it as well.
Oh yeah, I've already got it. Well, you know what I'm like with expansions, I like to make things bigger. Anyway, Quarriors Rise of the Demons adds 20 new dice to the game's total, bringing it up to 150. It even has new cards, new definitions for the original dice, and these horrible corrupted Quiddity dice that you use to clog up your opponent's bags. Oh.
How, because this for Chris, how did you already... What did you get me?
Ha! Quins, never forget a friend. Why don't you look under the tree, bucko? Hey, it's a pear. Yeah, because I know you like pears. Anyway, I'm gonna bleed the old lizard. I'll leave you two to bond, eh? Good friend.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the one.
Cheers, Paul. Happy Christmas.
You got some wine?
Hey!
Listen,
Cheers. Cheers, Paul. What a Christmas.
sleigh bells in the snow.
What's Paul, where do you keep your beans? I feel like cooking up a batch of Quinns' wicked beans.
Quinns, who are you going to spend Christmas with this year?
Well, this Christmas it's probably just going to be me and the girl, which is to say my girl, because we're like...
a girl?
Yeah, she's got a leg. She's got two legs actually, but she's not just a pretty face with legs coming out. Why, who are you spending Christmas with? Because
The lads, I'm going to spend Christmas with the lads.
Yeah.
David and Lamp, and we'll talk about the scores, and it's really good. It's a system whereby we all sort of keep up to date with what's going on, nobody falls behind.
The lads?
Yeah.
Why haven't I met these guys?
Oh, they come around all the time, I don't know, they're coming now!
What?
So,
Should I go?
yes?
Right. Merry Christmas, yeah? You enjoy, yeah. 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 Christmas alone, eh? Well, lucky for me, my daddy always used to tell me that there's no harm in partying alone. And I'm prepared. I'm a veteran, you could say. Say hello to Phantom Leader. The most hotly anticipated solitaire game of 2011. Oh yeah, there are board games out there designed for one player only. Sorry, Paul. Tonight, Quins flies solo.
Well, Quins may have a girlfriend. I've got a printer. And a printer is like a big square key that unlocks the door to the world of print and play games. Did you know there are whole communities out there of people who play and design games just for free that you could squirt out of a printer right away? Now, I can get some solitaire games now. Where are my scissors?
So, an obvious question when it comes to solitaire board games is, why not just play a video game? And that, it's a question. Another question is, why play Phantom Leader? And the answer is, because it's awesome! Look at all this stuff. Okay, Phantom Leader is a game about controlling planes and dispatching them during the Vietnam War on critical strike missions. Making it a bit like Top Gun, except you're in control of these planes, making you the toppest gun! Yeah! Alright, men. Each and every one of you is my personal responsibility in this war. The Vietnam War. And you, under my experience, you'll gain victory points and experience. And yeah, are you eyeballing me, son? Kieran, is that your name? Well, are you Air Force or Navy? Because I've heard you Navy boys, you like big boats and you cannot. We have to destroy a cement plant. It has to not exist this time tomorrow because an Air Force's work is never done. Welcome to the Corps. We need to send 3 of you for that. So we could send Cajun, Papa, and Paul. Yup, you gotta suit up and get in the air in 2 hours. Your problem is that flying missions makes pilots stressed. Flying to targets further away makes them more stressed. Having to take evasive action or get shot at or even eject. They come home with cracks in their eggshell-like psyches. So you have to cycle them, let them rest. But that's hard because there's a goddamn war on and you only have one ace and one guy who knows how to fly the Super Sabre. Good thing I'm the man for the job. Where did I leave my Snuggie?
And then all I have to do is cut out the components, paste them to some card if I had some paste, and then I've got proper full-size board game components, as you can see if I put them next to this pair. Nothing small or wee or anything. Thanks, reference pair. And the first game that I get to play for free is Inspector Moss 2. It's a game of dice and deduction, and it's smart, but it's quite hard. I thought a game I'd download and print off would be simple, easy, but yeah, oh dear. Inspector Moss 2 plays like the nightmare a detective would have after getting shot and sedated by paramedics. In Inspector Moss 2, you're a detective solving a murder by rolling dice. You allocate those dice to help you move around rooms of corresponding numbers, or you have to allocate several dice together to gather evidence and pick up clues. And it all sounds a bit like Cluedo meets Yahtzee, but by yourself, which it is. But that sounds about as much fun as having your head up a cow's arse. And no, this is fun. This is probably one of the most challenging puzzle games I've played in quite a while. But you only have so much time to catch your suspect in, and whenever you roll the dice, oh no, one of those dice is always the amount of time that passes every turn, but I'll get you next time, you cheeky murderer. But it is a tremendously satisfying game to play when you roll exactly the numbers you need, or you risk a re-roll and you find you're able to dash across the house and grab that piece of evidence that vitally is the key to everything. I wonder what I'll play by myself next. From the internet.
This is the end. My only friend, the end. I've chosen my pilots, I've chosen their loadouts, I've chewed my Cubans.
as they've made their way to their target. Now they're on their final approach, and this is how I watch them. This board is basically the puzzle at the heart of Phantom Leader. What vectors do you fly in on? At what altitude? When do you choose to drop each of your bombs or fire each of your missiles? What targets do you suppress, evade, or ignore? And on the bad days, which of your pilots can you afford to... Cajun! Cajun, would you tighten it up? You're looser than those women outside the airbase! But while this board is the game proper, these are the boards that I'm really in love with. Look, these model all the persistent elements of your campaign that would be too self-indulgent if you were playing with other people. Look, these are my pilots. These are the requisition points that I can use for tanker priority or laser-guided bombs. And look, here's Vietnam. The politics slider. This is really cool. If I blow up something like a naval base or something big, or make use of Blue 1 bombs, that's napalm. This will go spiking to the right. The eyes of the world will turn to face the glorious USA. And the boys back in Washington will tell me to cool it. That leaves me and my pilots in a purgatory of trying to bomb bridges the size of stepladders, or, worse of all, provide close air support. My boys are one cup of coffee away from total mental collapse, and I have to tell them to go and drop bombs within a mile of US troops. I will tell you one reason this is better than a video game, actually, because it's so abstracted. Your imagination is left to fill in the gaps. And when Kieran bails out in a secret mission of a louse, and you have to write down on your campaign sheet, missing in action, and take his card and throw it back in the box because he's gone and it's your fault, there's a sadness there. And this game manages a similar level of poignance at least once every half hour. Alright boys, I want a rocket barrage on those eastern sights. I'll be waiting for your Judy.
So, the D6 shooters. Let's set up the game there. This is a game that fits on just one piece of paper, and how many games can you say that about, huh? Or a piece of card if you had any card. Anyway, that means you can fold it up and take it with you in your pocket, and you could play it in the kitchen, or you could play it on the tube, or waiting for a bus, or on the stairs, or on the toilet. Anyway, this game is much easier than Inspector Moss. All you have to do is deliver a criminal that you've already caught to the town of Reno, and along the way then maybe you'll be ambushed by some people, or you know, your posse might run out of food, or someone will get shot, and you'll go to towns and you'll encounter random events, and all the exciting events of the Wild West will happen to you in this game on this piece of paper. That's quite something. Okay, so how hard can it be? I've got this far to Gold Hill, and I've got some people left in my posse, so that's good. Let's have a roll. That's good. That means I actually get to the second town. I can get there. That means I'm hot, but I can use that to not be hot, and nothing. No, but then I'm. It's all right. I can re-roll everything. That means I've been attacked 3 times. So if I can shoot, but I've got no ammo. I'm just gonna pretend that didn't happen and roll. That's good. That I get 1 piece of food to feed 3 people. They're good because they can. The 4s solve any problem. They solve some problems. They solve a few. They don't. The 4s. I'm gonna roll the 4s again. That's cocked. That was probably what I wanted, which was a 1. If I pretend that those 2 dice were a 2, then I'm not really cheating because I've penalised myself. And now I've got to a random event, so let's see what the random event is. I've been mugged, lose 2 posse or 1 gold. But I'm nearly a quarter of the way through the game, so I'm doing really well. Let's see what I can buy in the town. I can buy binoculars. I might roll that again. Well, you know, it's a fine game, and it gives me good memories. Memories of the fighting fantasy books I used to play as a kid, where you take the book with you and a couple of dice, and you're scribbling down your inventory, and you say, I've got these weapons and this food and this magical potion of broth, and it's so portable. You know, you could be playing it on a train and just take some dice with you, and you're scribbling down where you've done, and maybe someone on the train sits next to you and they've got an iPhone and it's a kid playing, and you give them a saucy wink because your game was playing together on the train, and you're a bit more of a hardcore gamer because you've got the dice and the paper, and you're a hustler on the train.
What's so engaging about this board is that you're playing the odds, you know? One Viet Cong taking a pot shot with his rifle could shoot one of your $2.4 million Phantoms clean out the air. Or, you know, Paul here could go weaving his way to the target, drop 2,000 pounds of bombs and fly away unharmed. It's cinema. It's a perfectly fair game, but it's cinema. Awesome. Although I am getting pretty tired of how much bookkeeping is involved. Look here, before I could even fly towards this mission, I had to equip 7 planes with all these different weapons, making this like Soviet chocolate box. And it took me 15 minutes. And I kind of want the battle to be over now, but it won't be over because now my boys have flown to the site but slowed to the speed of hot air balloons, because every inch they fly, everything shoots up at them. If the poignance is the best thing about Phantom Leader, the worst thing is the fact that to play it, you have to repurpose your brain into a side of fleshy clockwork so that you can just run it. I think I've been spoiled by computers. But look here, let me show you what I mean. So all of these sites, all of them, anything in range gets to shoot at me if it can. So first of all, let's do this site, one of many. Let's see who it attacks. 7, that's Paul. Okay, so the first thing that happens is I can try and suppress. Papa has good air to ground, so take that rocket token, throw it away, make the suppression roll. That's a fail. That's fine because Paul can evade without being too stressed. So take the stress token, put it on Paul. Make that 10. Okay, that's a hit, but he's evading, so he gets a second roll. Paul just got shot down, which is actually okay, because while you take all the tokens and the cards and stress and you move it away, if we get a missing in action roll, it might take a few days, but sometimes you can do rescue missions and stuff with that. So Paul's gone. Hello? Paul! Paul, come in! Paul! What?
Print and play games. What a great way to just cheaply play some really interesting games. And if you want to take it that seriously, then you can mount them on card or the back of a pizza box, and then your games will smell of meat. But there's all kinds of games out there for whatever you want. You want a hex war game? There are loads. Have a look on Board Game Geek. There's games about grand strategy and games with random generation, and maybe you'd like a game about time travel. Well, let's try Timeline. It's for 2 players, but that's fine because I can play it with.
Jagger, can you see any wreckage? Come on, something! His Phantom... Hello, Paul!
Friends!
The lads left me. They abandoned me for Christmas. Yeah, I've got nobody to spend Christmas with.
Oh no.
It was the football. They did too much football. One of them, Lamp, he tried to do a head ball.
Oh no.
Yes, and now he's in hospital.
That's funny, because this girl, this old girl of mine.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, it turned out she wasn't, she wasn't legal.
What?
She was illegal. She was an illegal immigrant. Yeah, that's it. They had to deport her back to Scotland. Paul, do you want to come in actually?
Quinns,
That door was locked.
do you want to help me review a print and play game called Timeline?
Do I?
There's another thing about print and play games that we haven't actually mentioned yet, and that's that they are a great lucky dip. Because they're so often free, gamers can be a bit less choosy, and game designers can be a bit more experimental, and you never know what you're going to get. For example, with Timeline here, look, I mean, I had no idea this was going to happen. Isn't it fantastic?
What the hell is this?
Why is your voice so high? It was like... Okay, so look at this. This is a timeline. This is the past, this is the future, and you're spanning time. You're spanning time picking up...
So you're time travelers?
You're picking up stocks and futures in the past, and when you do so, you make the timeline shift slightly. They shift themselves, and you're trying to sell these things in the future, but every time you pick something up, timelines move. So all the time tunnels, they change. They shift themselves. The values,
You have come upon my home with a simulation of navigating a foreign subway system.
Look, this is a very good game of cause and effect. Okay, the board moves itself.
Let me see if I've got this straight.
Every
so
time.
you have
what a clever idea. Lay down more.
You have to move to collect items along a given timeline which changes the timeline, which means that then you have to try and bring the
That's very
timeline
good. I'm
you're
proud
on
of you. You figured it out.
in line with something else without
Yes.
doing the same for your opponents. Paul, I've had jobs that are less work than this.
All right, you're thinking too much.
No, I'm thinking at all.
It's chess-like.
No, it's not. Can we go back in time to make sure the designers of this game get like proper jobs?
That's actually quite a mean thing to say.
Look, I don't want the last game we review in 2011 to be this vomited up spaghetti looking thing. I want to finish in style. I want a game that erupts on your dining room table, a game that's an honest to goodness contender for the greatest table game of the 20th century, something that takes minutes to learn and a lifetime to master, something that tells stories and makes you laugh, something that's colourful, with a box that can barely contain the game's possibilities.
You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cosmic Encounter is a beautiful game. Beautiful in spirit, beautiful mechanically, beautiful visually. Boring stuff first. In this game, every player controls an alien race trying to spread themselves across the galaxy. Look, here are your planets, here are your ships, and the object of the game is to land 5 of these ships, creating at least 5 foreign colonies. First player to do that wins, but the only way you'll do it is by having encounters. On your turn, you will draw a card from this deck. It will tell you who you're having an encounter with. You will point the hyperspace gate at one of their planets, and you will send forth some of your little ships. And then 2 things will happen. Firstly, you'll invite people. You, the orange player, will say, hey blue, you want a foreign colony? And you send some of those ships in, green, you want a foreign colony. And then you'll have your big attack force, and then purple will get the chance to say, whoa, red, yellow, help me fight these bastards back. Then you'll both have your attack forces, and you'll both play an encounter card. An encounter card strong enough as to make an underdog a powerful victor, or an encounter card so weak as to make an unstoppable military force pathetic. But you have to play all the cards in your hand at some point. You have to play that terrible attack card. Or maybe you'll say, whoa, let's negotiate. You'll play your negotiate cards into the encounter. And then you'll get time to broker a deal. Maybe you'll both get a foreign colony. Maybe you'll say, let's negotiate. And then you'll play an attack card against his negotiate, automatically winning you the battle, but losing you a friend. Cosmic Encounter is just a game of tension and talking, but this, what I just described, this is just the skeleton. This is what the meat hangs off. Paul, tell them about the meat.
The meat. I'll tell you about the real beef of this game. It's the alien races that you get allocated at the start. They look like this. The base game has 50 of them, but if you want to pick up any expansions, the first expansion has 20 more, and the next expansion has 20 more, and all 90 of these alien races break the game somehow. They change the rules. That's what I said. They break the game. Take, for example, the Prophets. And I absolutely love these guys. These are fantastic. These guys, if they correctly predict the outcome of any encounter, they get an automatic foreign colony. So whenever other people fight, they try and influence that. And, well, if they're right, they automatically get a point. So annoying. The Masochist, if they lose all their ships, they win the game. What's going on there? And then the Leviathan, well, they can just use their planets as giant attack craft. That's ridiculous. I mean, are these races balanced? No, they're not. They're not at all balanced. Let me give you a scenario. For example, you could be playing the gooey, oozy amoeba. They have their own advantages, but you find you're trapped between the Genius here and the Claw. The Genius, they just win when they get 20 cards. The Claw, well, they steal planets from people. What the heck? These guys are not even going to care if they win encounters or not. They've got their own objectives. But, Quinn said this was a game about talking. The key to success is to not be perceived as a threat. If you seem harmless and innocent, then people will invite you to their attacks. You'll become their space allies, and then they'll leave you to your space business instead of trying to whittle down all your ships all the time. And in this way, the game self-balances. People go after the more powerful races, and the tiny, apparently harmless people get left alone.
And what could be more pathetic than the loser? Now, remembering that Cosmic Encounter has 90 alien races, let's look at a case study, the interplay between just 2 of them. The loser's power of upset means that if he chooses to use it before a battle, The winning side loses and the losing side wins. If that sounds confusing, well, it's meant to. You're meant to be using it to trip up your opponents.
Add into this the Prophet. The Prophet, you remember I mentioned them? I love them. They're brilliant. They're amazing. They predict what's going to happen. If they turn out to be correct, well, then they get that free point. So what if the Prophet predicts that the loser...
Hang on, but the loser...
Exactly, and this is what the game is. It's everyone trying to work out what the hell is going to happen and just win.
Paul and I could go on and on about how fantastic this game is, about how every time you play it, it's a series of bluffs and lies and promises and frantic negotiations. We could talk about the decks you can add, depending on your mood that evening. The Science, Defender Reward and Hazard decks that make the game more random or funnier or richer. But we'd be treading old ground, because this game first came out in 1977, and it's passed through the hands of 6 publishers, and in that time has amassed thousands of glowing reviews. Instead, we're going to go one step further, and we are going to end the year by talking about why we believe the Cosmic Encounter is the best example of a board game in existence today.
Since we started filming the show, I've had to listen to Quinns go on about the art in games and the pleasure of bits, but maybe he has a point. You stack your ships like poker chips in Cosmic Encounter. You point the warp gate aggressively at the other players and you flip your cards in moments of theatrical triumph. Everything in this game is supposed to be picked up and moved around and shuffled about. It's a physical experience, a stimulation not just for the mind but the eyes and the fingers. Oh.
And I've had to listen to Paul go on and on about randomization in games, which is the idea that a game comes with lots of bits and pieces and then can remix itself each time you play, offering a surprising experience. Cosmic Encounter could be the crown jewel of these games. It's so surprising every time, and yet the rules remain so simple.
Self-evident truth. Board games are a bonding experience, but Cosmic Encounter is particularly good for bonding, partly because it tells a story. It tells a story of warring alien races or cosmic allies getting together, and you can play the game over and over, and every story will be a different story. You can play it with a complete stranger, see them again in a year's time, and you won't remember their name, but you'll remember the game. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
With its focus on talking, Cosmic Encounter plays to the single strength of board games as a whole, which is the fact that we're human, our ability to negotiate, bluff, lie. Cosmic Encounter even manages to tease out deeply human failings like greed and mistrust. Don't get me wrong, video games are awesome, but the fact is that currently the interaction they offer is still extremely two-dimensional. Why should you play board games? This is why you should play board games, because you can't get this anywhere else.
Ooh.
Friends reunited, eh?
That was fun.
Yeah, and hey, it's a good thing you got here when you did. We have lots to do before 2012.
No, you mean they arrived?
Right here. All the games we're reviewing in 2012.
Oh my goodness.
Breathe it in, Paul.
What is that?
Oh, that detaches.
Ah, that's disgusting. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
How did you even get that?
Well, it's not strictly something I want to talk about.
Are you alright?
No.
That game's banned. That's the game that killed somebody.
No.
That's banned in like 60 countries.
Okay, first of all, it didn't kill anyone, and it's 70 countries it's banned.
First edition, how did you get that?
Well, that's the crown jewel in the collection.
Original Latin. Bambas bat, Bamas batis ban. You speak Latin?
No.
Tell you what, why don't we review this?
Settlers of Catan. No. You know what, Paul? I think this is going to be our best Christmas ever.
I think you might be right.
Merry Christmas, Paul.
Merry Christmas.
The boys are reunited, proceeding to stage 2 of the plan. Understood. I'll be in touch.